In this lesson, we'll add the closed canopy of our jet. So for the canopy, it's going to be fairly simple. We want to create this piece. If we look at our art, this piece kind of right up in here. And even though it's curved, I want to actually use a cube to create this. Okay, we can go to our top and kind of see what that looks like. Let's turn off our grid maybe. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring in a polygon primitive cube. All right. And then let's go ahead and scale it up a little bit. We can increase our height, width, and depth. And I just want to make it kind of as wide as the widest part of our canopy. Okay, and then we can increase the depth here, and at a certain point, if we just want to go ahead and scale it, we can. Okay. Now you can change the subdivisions, but let's do it in a little bit of a different way. So let's kind of get the shape in here and kind of bring it till it's sort of penetrating in a little, and we'll scale it down to kind of the highest point there. Okay, just get it kind of close there. So we need some subdivisions on this cube. And let's say that we've gone ahead and we've deleted the history, which removes the ability to change those segments. So what can we do? Well, we can use the Insert Edge Loop tool, but if we want to just do it as we've been doing it and add edge loops one at a time, it's going to be kind of tedious and we won't really get a good sense of an even distribution. So one of the things we can do is go into the tool settings for the Insert Edge Loop tool, and we can choose to add multiple edge loops. Okay, and so let's say we want to add 4 edge loops. We can click on there and it'll automatically add 4. Let's go ahead and change this to 3. So now it adds 3 edge loops and they're all evenly spaced out. Okay, let's increase the number of edge loops, maybe 5 or 6 along the length, and add those in. Okay, and then let's add a couple, maybe 2 along this angle. So you can see that the Insert Edge Loop tool can be used to add multiple edge loops that are evenly spaced out. Okay, just make sure to switch that back when you're done. Now let's take a look at shaping this. So this is going to be symmetrical. So you notice how we're building everything just on one side. We haven't built the other wing. We haven't built the other engine. That's because it's going to be symmetrical. So it's going to be the same piece just mirrored over. Well, we can use the same technique with a single piece of geometry. So let's say that we get rid of part of this, and so we'll get rid of half of it on one side and then also the bottom polygons. So what's left is a piece of geometry that we can shape and then create the mirror image on the other side. So it just lets us deal with only a certain amount of geometry at a time. Okay, so let's come in here and shape this. And let's go ahead and get our vertex and kind of pull this down. And if you want to actually hit 3 to smooth, you can see, because sometimes it'll lose a bit of volume, and so you don't want to pull it down and then find out that you actually went too far, because once you smooth it, it goes down a bit further. So if you want to just smooth it, you can, and just come in from the side and kind of pull this out a little bit, pull this down. Pull these points down in the front just to start to create that curve. We can come and bring this out to the front a little. Okay, just want to sort of make that smooth curve. And here we'll do the same thing, just kind of create a nice smooth curve on the sides. Okay. Now from the top, we can come in and modify this as well. On the back, we don't really care about because it's going to be covered. But as it comes up to the front, we want to kind of pull this over and in to create the contour in this direction. So kind of pull this in. All right. And let's kind of pull this back and over. Pull this whole thing in a little bit. So you get something that is a little bit smoother, and you can come to the front here, or the front, and do the same thing. So we want to grab this side, and you can see I'm actually going to grab the top here. And let's get rid of the points on the side. And I want to go ahead and bring those down and over. Okay. To create kind of a smoother curve there. We can go ahead and select those and maybe pull those out a bit. Same thing down here. And eventually, you know, working in all the different axes, eventually you'll get something that is close to what you want. So kind of pull that in a little bit. And down. Okay. So once you've got something that is the way that you want it, you can see we've got a little bit of a dent here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this point and kind of bring it out a little so it's not creating that odd shape there. Once you've got something that you like, you can take that geometry and we can actually mirror it over. So what you want to have is all of the points for the center of this, you want to have them all lined up in the middle, which in this case they are. So I'm going to go to Mesh, Mirror Geometry, and we want to decide what direction. You can use this guy down here, the axes down here, to actually decide where we want to mirror this. So right now this is on the positive X side, so we want to mirror it in the negative X direction. And let's merge with original merge vertices. So we'll click on that and you can see it actually creates that other copy over on the other side. Okay, it actually is welded all of that, merged all that together. Okay, and then we can smooth it. And you can see if there are any issues down here, we can still kind of smooth those out a little bit. But the next thing that we want to do is create a bit of a kind of a rim around here. So I'm going to go ahead and take this edge and use it to create this piece here. So we can actually do that by selecting the edge. So I'll just double click on the edge. So this is a series, this is a kind of an edge loop, a polygon edge loop. We can't really use it right now to create that piece, but I want to convert it into a curve. So we can actually go to convert and we can take our polygon edges to NURBS curve. Okay, so that will create a nice curve for us to use right here in position. Okay, we can then go ahead and create a circle, shift select this curve, go to surfaces and do our extrude. Okay, and then we can take that circle and modify the shape, and we can also take this curve and let's go ahead and center the pivot. We can take that curve and move it back until it's in the right spot. So moving it back here, and then we can take that circle and change the radius. If I can get into the right node there. There we go. Change the radius a little bit so it's the right width. And then we can take that spline and that curve and scale it down a little bit, or we can make the circle a little bit more squared off. All right, so we can just go in and maybe smooth this out a little bit more, maybe shape the circle a little bit more so it's kind of a flatter shape. But that's how we get our canopy in there along with this detail. So the next thing that we want to do is actually build this piece on the front, and we can do that by sort of the same technique that we use for the scoop, but we'll in this case use a different tool, and we'll just duplicate some geometry from the actual canopy itself. So we'll go ahead and do that in the next lesson.